Howdy y'all, this is Redwolf. For the next part of my Going to Sigma series, I'm going to be discussing my my knife options, and which I've currently got narrowed down to one of these two Moras right here. Now their requirements are according to their specs, are something like a 4 to 6 inch bushcraft knife, and they really prefer a Scandi. The only Scandis I own are Moras, and I've been looking at some stuff, and I put my Moras through a lot of hell. I mean this one in particular is my loaner knife to all my city boy friends. You know, I've done some stuff with these, and I've done enough to be impressed with them, and I don't know if I can't do it with a Mora, then I'm probably not doing it right. Especially for what this isn't me going out and spending 5 years alone in Alaska. This is me going to fine-tune how to teach people how to survive and get started on a primitive living type scenario in the woods. And if you can't do that with a Mora, you probably don't know as much as you need to. At least that's kind of where I'm sitting right now. But that leaves me with a conundrum. Do I take my spare, you know, my last ditch backup knife, which is the Mora Companion, or do I take the one that I wear around work all the time, which is the classic number 3? Both kind of have their perks, you know, pros and cons. The big one being the number 3 has a 6-inch blade on it, versus the I believe it's 2.5 on the Companion. Show y'all like this, might be a little bit easier to see. It's got, you know, a little bit of a blade size difference. I tend to like the larger size knives. My normal bush carry is a 9 to 12 inch, which is really good in my environment. I have no idea what it's going to be like in theirs. The sheathing systems are totally different. This has the Mora clip right here with a spot for you to pull the cord through right there. It's pretty neat. A lot of people have copied this, Cold Steel in particular, in recent memory. Started doing a lot of their less expensive kydex in this style. These are like I don't know where you find them. These are like a $15 to $35 knife versus a like $20 to $50. The classic has the birch handles, whereas the painted birch, where these have a rubberized with like kind of this kydex type material on the end, and a little bit of a forearm guard here, finger guard. The classic obviously doesn't. That's not a deal breaker to me. I know some people absolutely lose their mind over finger guards. It's a knife. I've been using swords long enough. I've got a good grip. I'm not really worried about that particular one. I've used both of these to skin game. I use both of them for wood carving, all that. Theoretically, the number 3 is a little bit better self-defense knife because it's a little bit longer. And like I said, it's so lightweight. And the sheath on these is just like rubber with the riveted right here. It has a slot. Let me get that pulled up for you to put a small belt through, or this. And I think the traditional way that they're worn, the bushcraft guys, you know, we love throwing them around our neck and letting them hang. I think the traditional way they're done is they make a little loop about yay big and use that to run their belt through, like a giant belt loop, so they can make it whatever size they want to, let it hang and all that. It's a pretty nifty idea. Some theories on that, but the classic is probably going to be less sturdy than this, since this is, I'm fairly certain this is molded over the tang here. I mean, it's smaller, so it gets there'll be less leverage put against it, which will make the handle less likely again to break. Really sure on sharpness. I mean, it's a Mora. You know, it's got the classic Scandinavian grind. It starts about here and goes basically straight down. Yeah, they're sharp. They bite deep. I mean, I have more trouble getting these to stop. Like, for instance, I'm going to try and just peel my bark right here. I have to take very careful, because if I just push like I normally would, you know, you get big chunks missing and everything's off square. Very good knives, very good steel. For the money, they're a steal. These really, this knife actually right here, this is the first one I had. Changed my opinion on how much knife I get for how much money I spent, which ultimately led me to my shop. Like, I really owe a crazy number of life decisions to a small lesson that Mora taught me. But I'm going to get a little bit more cutting footage in. You know, like I said, you can see what this does. It slices, it dices. You know, anything you want a knife to do, you can probably make a Mora do it. I'm going to do a little bit of batoning with it. Instead of batoning like this, which I'm sure the Mora can handle, I'm actually going to use this stick here as the baton, and I'm going to try and cut some notches into the log I've been doing the axe testing with. A little bit different way of doing it, but that's one of the ways that you use a knife this size to do the task of the knife this size that I normally carry. Alright guys, so same log, same spot. I'm going to do 3 at this angle and 3 at this angle. See how big of a cut I get, and what I really want to make sure is that the knife can handle it, because there's a lot of people that say Mora can't. And I'm going to go ahead and test the companion and the classic against the common internet knowledge. Man, that cutting good. And that's nothing right there. So, companion pass with flying colors. So let's scoot this down a little bit. Let's try the classic. That's crazy right there. I mean, that's a good half the width of the blade, or a little bit better. Alright, so conclusions. You know, the companion is still fine. I knew the companion would do it. I've actually I cut down a tree about that big around once. It is almost probably a good 3.5, 4 inches, almost as long as the blade was. By beaver chew around it, just as a destruction test. I actually used the pole of a tomahawk just to try and break it, and yeah, never done any damage with it. Like that, I may carry one as a backup, but from where I'm sitting, we haven't done any harm at all to our classic. Everything still aligned, everything's still razor sharp. It actually, what I've got right there with the baton, because I've never used a big wooden one like that, not that long. Actually took out much bigger chunks than I was expecting. Might have to rethink some strategy on there, start carrying a rabbit stick with me. So I think I'm going to take my number 3. I might go ahead and take my companion as a backup, which is basically what that thing's been riding around with me for 3, 4, 5 years now. I've had that thing for a while. But hope y'all enjoyed the video. If you got any comments, let me know. If y'all want testing, hit me up. This is Redwolf signing off. Y'all keep up the good fight.